I'm James Gruber. Welcome to the morning report for Thursday, the 26th of February. A positive start is expected for the Australian share market following gains on Wall Street. The futures index is up 0.7%. On Wednesday, the ASX 200 climbed to a fresh record, closing up 1.17% to 9,128.30 and setting a new 100-day high. That inflation data that we were expecting was released and was on the high side again in January. Underlying inflation remained firm last month, with the trim to mean rising 0.3% and the annual pace picking up to 3.4%. Headline inflation came in slightly stronger than expected at 0.5% for the month on a seasonally adjusted basis, which saw annual inflation remain at 3.8%. All eyes will now be on the Reserve Bank and its upcoming interest rate decisions. Most economists still think that the RBA will hike rates by 25 basis points to 4.10% in May. Last night, RBA Governor Michelle Bullock was at a dinner in Melbourne and said Australians will need to be patient in the fight against sticky inflation, and the fine balance between risks to price stability and the labour market would make monetary policy judgments more difficult. She said the state of the economy had changed rapidly since the middle of last year, when it appeared inflation was under control and the global economy was slowing. Like with each day this week, companies are continuing to report their earnings. Among those on the list, Qantas, Ramsay Health Care and Super Retail. In fact, Qantas just reported first half results were up 5% year on year. A look at commodities before we check in on how overseas markets finished up. Global oil prices were lower on Wednesday as a much larger than expected US crude stock build outweighed the threat to oil supply from potential US-Iran military conflict. US crude inventories rose by 16 million barrels last week as refinery utilisation fell and imports increased. The Brent crude price was down 0.4% to $70 US and 95 cents a barrel. Copper futures hit a two-week high on demand optimism, rising 1%. Aluminium futures added 2%. Gold prices hit a two-week high on demand optimism also, rising 0.3%. Iron ore futures, though, were 0.2% lower at $99.07 US. Here's a look at the Aussie dollar. It's a little stronger against the US dollar. It's currently trading at 71.23 US cents. Let's head to Wall Street. The markets in the US ended in positive territory. The Dow Jones index was 0.6% higher, the S&P 500 index was 0.8% up, and the Nasdaq index had gained 1.3%. Let's look at why. Both the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq hit two-week highs, boosted by heavyweight technology stocks, ahead of Nvidia's quarterly results that could reinforce or challenge a recent rebound in the sector. Nvidia gained 2.2% ahead of earnings due after market close. Investors will be looking out for evidence that the chipmaker's profits are growing on the back of Big Tech's $630 billion capital spending budget for 2026. The S&P 500 Information Technology Index rose 1.8%, while the Communication Services Index added 1%. Financials also added 1.7%. The Semiconductor Index climbed 1.7% to a record high. Axon Enterprise climbed 18% after the taser maker beat fourth quarter profit estimates. Lowe's fell 4.8% as the home improvement retailer forecast annual sales and profit below estimates. Domain registry company GoDaddy plunged 14% on disappointing earnings guidance. The positive US market lead is why the ASX is expected to begin the day strongly too. US government bond yields were steady on Wednesday as investors weighed increased risk appetite from a bounce in stocks and a heavy slate of government and corporate issuance that prompted pre-supply selling. The US 10-year Treasury yield was 2 points higher at 4.05%, while the US 2-year Treasury yield was up 2 points to 3.47%. To the European markets, European shares closed at a record high, underpinned by a rebound in financials after HSBC raised a key lending target, while concerns that newer AI models might imminently disrupt traditional businesses appear to ease. Banking stocks gained 2.8%, largely boosted by a near 8% gain in HSBC as it raised a key earnings target after its annual profit exceeded expectations. Mining and utility stocks each hit an all-time high on Wednesday, passing their previous peaks in 2008. Diageo, though, lost 12.7% after the beverage maker cut its annual sales and profit forecast for the second time in 4 months and also slashed its dividend. The continent-wide FTSE Euro First 300 index ended up 0.7%, while the UK FTSE 100 was 1.2% higher. So, as I mentioned, we'll get an update on earnings from Nvidia, which will play a key part in how markets go today. For further developments on the local trading session, please tune in to the CommSec Market Update podcast this afternoon, and of course the Market Close video. Have a great day.